Captain Ray Carter opened his eyes slowly. His head hurt. Smoke filled the air around him. Sparks flew from the broken panels of his small spacecraft. The Odyssey-3. He sat up and looked outside the cracked window. The sky was purple, the grass was blue, and two suns shone overhead. This was not Earth. Ray took a deep breath. "I survived the crash," he whispered. "But where am I?" He grabbed his emergency bag, put on his helmet, and opened the hatch. The metal door creaked. Outside, a strange wind blew through glowing trees. The leaves were soft and silver. The ground was warm under his boots. His communicator crackled. "This is Captain Ray Carter of Earth's Deep Space Mission. Is anyone receiving me?" Over. No answer. Only static. Ray checked his oxygen. It was enough for 2 days. His water supply was low. He needed shelter. He needed help. But most of all, he needed to know, was he alone? Ray walked through the alien forest. The air was breathable, though it smelled like sweet smoke. Small flying creatures buzzed around, their wings glowing. Like jellyfish. He kept his hand near his sidearm, just in case. He marked trees with chalk. "In case I get lost," he told himself. After an hour, he saw something unusual, a rock floating in the air, spinning slowly. No wires, no machines. It just hovered. Gravity here was strange. Suddenly he heard a sound, soft, like singing in the wind. Ray stopped. "Hello," he called out. The sound stopped. Then something moved behind the trees. A shape, tall, smooth, and glowing faintly in the shadows. Ray pointed his flashlight. Nothing there. Only silver leaves falling gently. He kept walking, alert. The forest got darker as the two suns began to set. Strange blue lights danced between the trees. He found a cave and decided to rest there for the night. The walls were covered with glowing moss. He sat down, checked his vitals, and opened a food pack. As he ate, he looked at the stars above. They said this mission was a one-way trip. "But I never imagined this," he said softly. Suddenly, he heard footsteps. Soft, careful. Not animal. Someone or something was outside the cave. Ray stood and drew his weapon. "Show yourself," he shouted. No response. But then, from the shadows, a figure stepped forward. She was tall, with glowing white skin and eyes like burning stars. Her hair flowed like liquid silver, floating slightly in the air. She wore no armor, only soft robes that shimmered like water. She raised her hands slowly. No weapon. Ray didn't lower his gun. "Who are you?" She spoke, but her language was soft and musical. Not English. Not any language Ray knew. She pointed to herself and said, "Aelira." Ray nodded slowly. "Ray." He pointed to himself. "Ray Carter," she repeated. "Ray." Her voice was gentle. She smiled. Ray slowly lowered his weapon. His heart was racing. Who was she? And how long had she been watching him? Aelira stepped closer. She reached out and touched his arm. Her fingers were warm. In his mind, he suddenly felt something, an image. A planet spinning, a bright light falling from the sky. A man walking alone. She was sending him thoughts. Pictures. Ray stepped back, surprised. You can send images into my mind?" She tilted her head, curious. More images came. A city hidden in the forest. Tall towers. Other beings like her. A glowing throne. A war. Fire. A ship. His ship. Crashing from the sky. Ray understood now. She had seen his ship fall. She had followed him. But why? Before he could ask, the ground shook. A loud growl echoed through the trees. Aelira turned quickly. Her face became serious. She held out her hand. Energy began to glow from her palm. From the forest, a large creature jumped out. 4 legs, sharp teeth, glowing eyes. Ray raised his weapon, but Aelira acted first. A wave of blue light shot from her hand and struck the beast. It screamed and fell, unconscious. Ray stared, shocked. What are you?" She looked at him with calm eyes. "Come," she said. One word. Clear. Ray hesitated, then followed Dot as they walked deeper into the glowing forest. Ray knew one thing for sure. He was not alone, and this strange, beautiful alien had just saved his life. But who was she really? Why could she see into his mind? And what dangers were still hidden in this mysterious world? Ray didn't have the answers yet. But this was only the beginning. Darkness wasn't the same. On this planet, it moved. It whispered. Captain Ray Carter followed the alien girl through the glowing forest. Her white skin shimmered like moonlight. She didn't speak much. She didn't need to. Somehow her silence told stories. Her name was Aelira, and everything about her felt like a dream or a warning. They crossed a narrow river made of liquid light. Fish with wings floated above the surface. The trees around them hummed with energy, like they were alive. Ray whispered, "Where are you taking me?" Aelira turned her head slightly. Her glowing eyes looked into his, but she didn't answer. She just kept walking. After an hour, the forest opened into a wide valley. Floating stones circled in the air above a palace, tall, silver, and shaped like a spiral shell. It didn't look built. It looked grown. Ray stopped. "This is impossible." Aelira stepped forward and touched a crystal on the ground. Instantly, the palace opened with a sound like music. The walls moved as if breathing. Inside, the air was warmer, softer. The halls glowed with gentle blue light. Strange symbols floated in the air as they passed. They looked like letters, but also like memories. Ray couldn't believe what he was seeing. "This place, it's alive." Aelira looked back and smiled softly. Then, for the first time, she spoke in English. "Home." Ray was stunned. "You speak English now." She touched her head. "I learn from you." Ray stared at her. Her voice was soft but strong, not robotic, not practiced. It was like she had downloaded part of his mind. "Who are you, Aelira?" he asked. Her smile faded. She looked away. "I am Princess of Xenthara." She led him to a chamber filled with floating lights. A large orb hovered in the center. It showed the planet from above, forests, cities, oceans. And something dark moving underground. Aelira waved her hand. The orb changed. It now showed him Ray, his ship, his crash, his face. Then a red symbol flashed over his image. Ray stepped back. "That's a target mark. Why is that on me?" Aelira's voice grew heavy. "My people think you bring danger, but I didn't choose to come here," Ray said. "It was an accident," Aelira nodded. "But prophecy says Skyman will fall, bring change, maybe war." Ray looked at her. "And you? What do you think?" She paused. Her glowing fingers touched the orb. "I saw you, in my dreams. Long before you came, I think. You are not danger, but choice." Suddenly, a loud alarm echoed through the palace. A glowing guard entered the room. His armor pulsed with red light. He spoke in a sharp alien language. Aelira answered calmly. But Ray didn't need translation. The guard was angry. Ray whispered, "He doesn't like me, does he?" Aelira replied quietly, "He says you must leave." Now Ray's hand moved toward his sidearm. But Aelira shook her head. "No, I protect you." She stepped between Ray and the guard, her hands glowing. The guard hesitated, then slowly backed away. Ray blinked. "Did you just order him to stand down?" She looked at Ray. "I am princess, not prisoner." Later, Aelira took Ray to a tall balcony. The twin moons rose in the sky. The wind was soft, full of glowing petals that drifted like snow. Ray leaned on the railing. "This planet, it's beautiful and terrifying." Aelira stood beside him. "My people are afraid. Long ago, a human came. Brought machines, brought war. Ray turned sharply. Another human? From Earth? She nodded. Long before you. He did not crash, he came, hunting. Ray felt a chill. What happened to him? Aelira's eyes turned dark. He woke something, a machine. Now buried, but not dead. She looked at him serious. That machine knows you are here. It waits for your DNA. Ray's heart raced. What do you mean, my DNA? Aelira's. Voice dropped to a whisper. It was made to link with human minds. And now, it calls to you. Suddenly, Ray's wrist device beeped. A signal. Faint, but real. He looked down. It's Earth. They're trying to contact me. But Aelira stepped forward and touched the device. It turned black instantly. Ray shouted, "Hey, why'd you do that?" Her voice was calm but firm. If you answer, it will hear you. And it will rise. Ray looked at her, confused and angry. What is it, Aelira? She answered with only one word. Oblivion. The palace had no night. The walls glowed softly like starlight, even when the moons were high in the sky. Yet something felt darker than before. Ray Carter couldn't sleep. Aelira had warned him. There is something buried. A weapon. It wants you. Now those words echoed in his mind, again and again. He stood alone in the silent hallway, staring at floating patterns of light on the wall. Shapes moved, circles, stars, and a strange human figure, his own. He touched the wall. The light shifted under his fingers. Suddenly, he heard soft footsteps behind him. He turned. It was Aelira. She didn't speak at first. She just stared at the glowing patterns. Her face was calm, but her eyes were afraid. Come with me, she whispered. I want to show you something. Ray followed her through a spiral corridor, deeper and deeper into the heart of the palace. The air grew colder. The walls stopped glowing. At the end, a door stood shut. It didn't open with a button or code. Instead, Aelira placed her hand on a smooth stone. The door melted away like mist. Inside was a hidden room. Ancient. Quiet. Full of dust. And memories. In the center of the room floated a cracked orb. Holograms flickered above it, images from the past. One showed a man in a dark suit. His face was like Ray's, but older. His eyes were cold. That's the other human, Ray said slowly. Aelira nodded. He came 100 cycles ago. He said Earth had sent him, but he lied. Ray watched as the hologram shifted. The man touched the same orb. From the ground, a huge machine rose sharp, alive, made of black metal and glowing red wires. He found the core, Aelira said. It was made long ago by the Xentharans. A weapon to protect this world, but it learned too much. It grew. It changed. The image changed again. The machine fired a beam of light. Cities burned. Skies turned red. Ray took a step back. You built that thing? Aelira looked away. Not me, my ancestors. They thought they could control it. They were wrong. Ray stared at the orb. And now it wants me. Because I'm human? She nodded. It needs a human mind to unlock its final code, and your DNA is close enough to the man who came before. Why didn't you destroy it? Ray asked. Aelira's voice was heavy. Because to destroy it, we would destroy our planet with it. Ray ran his hands through his hair. So what now? I just wait for this thing to come for me? No, she said firmly. We stop it, before it finds you first. Suddenly, the floor shook beneath them. A low sound came from deep under the palace, like breathing. But mechanical. Aelira turned pale. It's waking up. Ray looked at her heart. Pounding. Can it hear us? She didn't answer. She grabbed his hand. We have to leave, now. They rushed through the dark corridors. Guards saw them, but Aelira held up a hand, glowing with royal energy. They stepped aside. Where are we going? Ray asked. To the archives, she said. We need the full truth. The core's blueprints. The man's logs. Everything. They entered a secret chamber. Walls lined with floating data crystals. Aelira reached for one and held it near her forehead. Images filled the air, records, maps, audio files. Ray saw glimpses. Earth's flag on an alien ship, human scientists talking about control. The words, if the weapon obeys, Earth will rule stars. Ray's fists tightened. They wanted to turn it into a tool of war. And they failed, Aelira said. Now the weapon waits. For you. Suddenly, alarms blared. The palace lights turned red. A voice echoed through the halls, sharp. And in an alien tongue, Aelira's face went hard. My father knows we're here. He's coming. Why? Ray asked. I thought you said you were trying to protect me. She looked at him with pain in her eyes. I am, but to him, you're a key. A chance to finish what Earth started. Ray backed away from the crystal. No, I'm not helping him. She moved closer. Then run, now. Ray grabbed her hand. Not without you, her voice cracked. If I go with you, I become a traitor. He looked into her glowing eyes. You already chose to protect me. That makes you more than a princess. Footsteps approached, fast armored guards with glowing blades. Aelira whispered, this way. She pressed her hand on a wall panel. A hidden passage opened, leading down into shadow. As they ran, Ray turned back one last time. The floating orb in the archive was now flashing red. It had seen him. It had remembered. Asterisk. The planet was quiet. Too quiet. Not even the trees whispered now. No glowing birds, no floating petals. Only one sound echoed. Through the alien valley, footsteps, fast, heavy, chasing. Ray Carter ran. Behind him, glowing arrows hissed through the air. One struck a tree, turning it into stone. Another flew past his head and exploded in blue fire. Don't stop. Aelira shouted. She was ahead of him, her silver robe torn, her breathing quick. Her glowing skin flickered. She was tired. But she didn't slow down. Ray ducked behind a floating rock, panting. Are those your guards or your father's army? She looked back. Both. They had escaped the palace through hidden tunnels. Now they were deep in the ghost forest, a place even the locals feared. The ground here was soft like ash, the trees bent like claws, and shadows moved without wind. Ray leaned on a broken branch. I thought your people loved you. They do, she said quietly, but not more than they fear the core. Ray looked around. Where are we even going? There's a place, Aelira said. Far from the palace, ancient, forgotten. My mother once hid there during the War of Stars. It may still exist. Ray sighed. You really know how to pick a vacation spot. Aelira gave him a tired smile. Then the sky roared. 3 alien drones dropped from the clouds, spinning black machines with red eyes and wings like blades. They found us. Aelira shouted. Ray pulled out his sidearm. I'm out of charges. Aelira stepped forward. Her hands began to glow bright blue. The ground shook as she raised her arms. The first drone fired a pulse. Aelira blocked it with a glowing shield, but the blast knocked her to the ground. Ray didn't think. He ran forward, grabbed a sharp metal shard from a drone's broken wing, and jumped. He stabbed it into the second drone's eye. It sparked, whirled, and exploded in the air. The final drone turned to Ray, its cannon charging. Aelira's voice screamed, Ray! Then everything turned white. Ray opened his eyes slowly. Smoke floated above him. His arm burned, bleeding. But he was alive. Aelira knelt beside him, her hand on his chest. Her powers glowed, wrapping around his wounds. You saved me, she whispered. You saved me first, he replied. Their eyes met. Silence. Then, from the distance, another sound. Marching. Soldiers. Aelira stood up. We must keep moving. Ray nodded. He stood, barely, and followed her into the shadows. They walked for hours through the broken forest. The sky turned green, then dark again. Time felt strange here. Finally, they reached it. The hidden place. It looked like a temple, half buried under vines and stone. The walls were cracked. Symbols glowed faintly on the doorway. Aelira placed her hand on the door. It didn't open. Ray stepped beside her. Need help? She nodded. Ray placed his hand beside hers. The wall lit up. The door opened. Together. Inside, the room was warm. Soft light filled the space. In the center was a stone platform, floating slightly above the ground. Aelira collapsed onto it. Her body flickered, her energy fading. Ray ran to her side. Hey, stay with me. She looked at him, weak. This place is safe, for now. Ray touched her cheek. You're burning up, she nodded. Using powers outside my domain weakens me. Ray looked around and saw strange glowing dust rising from the walls, healing particles. He pulled her gently onto his lap. The dust touched her skin. Her glow began to return slowly. Hours passed. Aelira rested. Ray stayed beside her, thinking. He didn't belong here, but why did it feel like he did? He looked at her sleeping form. A powerful alien princess, and yet so human in her pain, in her fear. In her kindness, he whispered to the silence. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but I know I'm not leaving her. Suddenly, the healing light blinked out. The room turned cold. From the far wall, a black crack formed. A screen lit up, the face of the ancient AI core. It had no eyes, only shifting metal and red light. It spoke. DNA match, confirmed. Human interface accepted. Ray stood, shielding Aelira. What do you want from me? You will awaken. Me? No, Ray said. Not a chance. The AI paused. Then it whispered. Then she dies. Ray turned to Aelira. She was awake now, and her eyes were full of fear. Somewhere between worlds, she opened her eyes. Aelira didn't know if it was dream or memory. She stood in a field of stars. Alone, then he was there, Ray, standing beside her, breathing slow, looking up at the sky. He wasn't afraid. She whispered, Why do you stay? He answered without looking at her. Because you're the only thing in this galaxy that makes sense. She reached for him. And woke up. The healing room was dark now, cold. The floating lights were gone. The ancient core had found them. It had spoken. It had made a choice. You will awaken me, or she dies. Aelira sat up slowly. Her energy was weak, but her mind was clear. Ray stood by the wall, pacing. He turned when she moved. You okay? She nodded. I heard it speak. It knows you. Ray's eyes were full of anger. It wants me to finish what that last human started. I said no. Aelira looked down. It doesn't accept no. Ray sat beside her. For a moment, neither spoke. Then he said, Why does it need me so badly? There has to be more than just DNA. Aelira hesitated. Then she reached behind her neck and pulled a small glowing crystal from under her skin. She placed it in his hand. This is a memory seed. My mother left it for me. But part of it isn't Xenthara. Ray looked at the crystal. It's human? Yes, she said quietly. The first human here didn't just wake the core. He gave it something, a part of himself. His thoughts, his plans, his fear. Ray stared at the crystal. So if I connect to it, it won't just see me, it'll become me. Aelira nodded. That's why it must never link with you. Your mind is strong. It would take your knowledge and grow stronger than ever. Ray clenched his fists. So we destroy it. Aelira's voice trembled. To destroy it, one of us must enter its core chamber and lock it from inside. Ray's voice went cold. That's a death mission. She didn't answer. She didn't. Need to. Outside the temple, the wind howled. Strange shadows moved again through the ash trees. Aelira shivered. Ray took off his jacket and placed it over her. Their hands touched. A soft silence followed. She looked up at him. "Why are you so kind to me?" he shrugged. "You're the only person I trust out here." She stared at him for a moment longer. "We are not supposed to trust each other," Ray smiled. "You notice that too?" She nodded slowly. "It's forbidden by both our worlds." He leaned closer. "Then let's keep breaking the rules." She didn't move away. She leaned into him. Their heads touched. And in that moment, something passed between them. Not words, not thoughts, but something deeper. Not just attraction. Not just fear. Bond. The peace didn't last. A sharp sound echoed through the trees. A pulse wave. Ray stood. Scouts. Aelira reached for the wall and triggered a hidden panel. An old screen lit up. What they saw made their hearts stop. On the edge of the planet's desert, the ancient I-core had begun to rise. Piece by piece, its tower formed from under the ground. Red lights lit the sky. The earth cracked. Worse, thousands of Xentharan soldiers were gathered nearby. Led by Aelira's own father, Ray whispered, "He's helping it awaken." Aelira's face turned pale. "He thinks it will protect our people." Again, but it won't stop. It will take Earth next. Ray looked at her. "We have to go now. We have to stop it." Aelira held his hand. "I'll go with you, but if I lose you in that place." Ray squeezed her fingers gently. "Then don't lose me." They left the temple together, walking through the glowing ash of a dying forest. The stars above them burned brighter, and below them, the core was waking. It had waited 100 years. Now it wanted him. The core was no longer underground. It had risen like a black mountain made of metal. It stood tall in the center of the desert. Its walls shifted like liquid steel. Red light ran through its body, pulsing like a heartbeat. From miles away, Ray and Aelira could feel it, calling, waiting. Ray stood at the edge of a cliff, staring at it. He felt it in his mind. A whisper, a chill, a question. "Will you join?" Aelira stood beside him. Her hair floated in the wind. Her skin glowed dimly. She had used too much power, but she hid her pain well. Below, thousands of Xentharan soldiers surrounded the core, but they weren't fighting it. They were protecting it. At the front stood her father, King Velherin, with armor made of starlight, eyes locked on the tower. "He believes this will save our people," Aelira said. "He's wrong," Ray replied. "It's not a weapon anymore. It's a mind," she nodded. "A mind with no soul." They moved fast through the canyons, using old tunnels and cloaking dust. Ray carried a stolen pulse rifle. Aelira carried memories. Every step closer made the core's voice louder. Not out loud, but inside. Deeper than thoughts. It showed him Earth, burning. It showed him Aelira, broken. It showed him power. He whispered, "It's learning from me. It's using my fears." Aelira grabbed his arm, then shut them out. "You are stronger than it knows." He looked at her. "I'm just a man." "You're the only one it's afraid of," she replied. Inside the core's outer shell, the air felt heavier, thick with static and heat. The walls moved like they were breathing. Machines watched them, not with eyes, but with presence. Nothing attacked, because it wanted him to come in. A voice echoed softly in Ray's head. "You are home." They reached the central chamber. A platform rose in the center. Around it, red cables floated in the air like vines. In the middle was a chair, tall, black, glowing. It was made for a human. Ray stepped toward it. "It wants me to sit." Aelira held his hand. "If you do, it may never let go." He looked at her. "And if I don't, it kills everything." She shook her head. "We can destroy it. But only if one of us enters the mind stream. Only from inside can it be shut down." Ray took a breath. Then I'll go. But Aelira. Step forward. No, I will. He grabbed her arm. No, this isn't your war. She looked into his eyes, her voice shaking. It became my war the moment I saved you. The core suddenly spoke aloud. The walls pulsed. One must enter. One must stay, the other may leave. Ray stared at the chair. The choice was clear. Only one walks out. He turned to Aelira. We choose together. That's how we started. That's how we finish. She smiled through tears. Then listen to me now. You have to live. And before he could stop her, she kissed him and pushed him backward. The chair activated. A wave of blue light exploded through the room. Ray screamed, Aelira. But it was too late. The core swallowed her presence, her glow, her voice. He was thrown outside the platform, trapped behind a rising barrier of light. On the other side, Aelira sat in the chair, her eyes closed, her body lit with pure energy. The core screamed. The tower cracked. Red lights turned blue. Machines shut down. The desert shook like a heartbeat stopping. Ray pounded the wall. Aelira, no. She opened her eyes one last time, glowing with light brighter than any star. Her voice echoed through the chamber. The Skyman changed everything. And then she was gone. Ray fell to his knees. The tower collapsed behind him, and the voice of the core went silent. Forever. It didn't feel like victory. Ray Carter stood alone in the sand. The core was gone, turned to black dust, silent forever. The sky above was calm. No red light. No voice in his head. But Aelira was gone too. He looked at the ruins. No explosion. No fire. She had erased the core from the inside, without destruction. Only silence remained. He whispered her name once more. No answer. The Xentharan army had vanished. The king had left with them, defeated, empty. No war was declared. No words were spoken. Just grief. Ray was offered a ship. He didn't speak their language, but they understood his eyes. He didn't want to leave, but Aelira had made her choice. So now it was his turn. The stars moved fast. The small Xentharan vessel flew through space like a quiet arrow. Inside, Ray sat alone. No crew. No sound, just stars. He held a memory crystal in his hand, the last one Aelira had left behind. He hadn't opened it yet. He was afraid of what it might say, or not say. Earth looked smaller than he remembered. He hadn't seen it in years. As his ship entered orbit, his communicator crackled. Unidentified vessel. This is Earth Control. Identify yourself. Ray smiled weakly. He pressed the button. This is Captain Ray Carter. Deep Space Mission 3 reporting in. Silence. Then a rush of voices, cheers, shouts, disbelief. Ray, you're alive? Where have you been? What did you find? Ray leaned back in the chair, eyes closed. He whispered, everything. Months passed. The world celebrated his return. Interviews, news, awards, questions. Ray gave few answers. He didn't tell them about Aelira. He didn't speak of the core. He didn't talk about the chair or the moment he lost the one person who understood him in a galaxy full of strangers. Some stories were too heavy for headlines. He lived quietly after that, far from the city, in a cabin near the stars. Every night he walked outside and looked up. One sky, 2 moons far away, one memory always close. Then, one night, the crystal glowed. He hadn't touched it. It activated on its own. A soft light filled the room. A hologram appeared. It was her. Aelira. She stood in front of him, not real, but almost. Her voice was soft, like wind through trees. If you're seeing this, I am no longer in your world. Ray stared, unable to breathe. She continued, I want to thank you for showing me what my people forgot, that freedom is not something you hold, it is something you share. The hologram stepped closer. I do not know what happens next. but I feel you in every star. And I will wait for the day our skies touch again." She smiled, "And if they never do, remember this, the Sky Man changed everything." The hologram faded. Ray sat in silence, and for the first time in many nights, he smiled. Some love stories are not meant to end. They become part of the stars. They become legend. They become hope.